You are looking at a 1979 Williams Laserball pinball machine. Overall, this particular pinball machine is in that good plus to very good, low, very good condition. Starting with the cabinet, structurally the cabinet's in very good condition. There's no major damage to the wood anywhere. It's just got the usual nicks and dents and dings of a machine that's close to 50 years old. The paint has been repainted at one point. It's a good repaint. It's not a high-end restoration or anything like that. You still can see those wood blemishes underneath the paint, and you can see a few paint blemishes here and there. The metal itself is bright and shiny, and there's no major dents or gouges anywhere. The legs are brand new, along with the bolts and the leg levelers. The original legs were a little bit rusted on the bottom to the point where I couldn't get the levelers to adjust, so I ended up just purchasing new legs, and I think it presents very well on this machine. The playfield itself is in that good to good plus condition. There is the usual wear. There is some planking. There is some cupping or insert cupping on some of the plastics. All that's pretty common for a playfield from 1979, particularly on a wide body. This playfield has been torn completely apart by myself, and I went ahead and cleaned everything with naphtha. I use naphtha because it preserves the original clear coat. From there, I did put a coat of Novus 2 to polish it up a little bit, and then from there, I put a final coat, a couple of coats of Carbuna, I think is how you pronounce it, but the higher end wax. I purchased it on Amazon. It's 100% Carbuna wax, and it really works really well, and one thing of wax pretty much lasts my lifetime. While I had everything apart, I went ahead and took the drop targets out, went ahead and cleaned those up and made sure that they functioned right, and then I put new vinyl graphic stickers on them. The bottom flippers have been completely rebuilt. They have brand new end-of-stroke switches on them. They have new coil sleeves, coil stops, and new linkages. The third flipper has a used linkage in it, but it was a used linkage that was in excellent condition. I had it out of another machine that I had. That was a parts machine, and it had very little wear on it. And you'll see when I play the game how snappy it is. For all practical purposes, it pretty much is brand new, but I just wanted to be honest with the description. But the coil stop and the coil sleeve are all brand new on that third flipper. And the end of stroke was also taken out of that donor machine, and that also is in excellent condition. After that, I went ahead and reassembled the whole playfield, put brand new rubbers on it, and then I also adjusted the leafs on the star rollovers so they're almost like a hair trigger. There's nothing that drives me more bonkers than when you're playing a game like this with all these rollovers and they don't register. So if anything, I probably have them maybe a little bit too much on a hair trigger, but I'd rather it give me a couple double points here and there than not register at all. Moving on to the back glass is in good plus condition. It presents very, very nicely. The mirrored effect on it is just gorgeous. The issue is a prior owner, there was a couple of little nicks in the glass. It is not flaking or anything like that, but there were some nicks in it from just usual wear. They used red spray paint to seal that up. Now, I would have used a clear triple thick. That's kind of what everybody uses nowadays. I'm not sure when it was done, but basically it turned that blonde lady into a definite redhead. But other than that, it doesn't really affect the presentation of the back glass, but it was done to it. In fact, ironically, now it matches the ladies that are on the playfield, because I think originally she was blonde or strawberry blonde on the back glass. Along with that, anything from the 1970s, I'm always on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to put LEDs in it or not. Most of the 1970s machines I have, I do stick with the incandescent. But this particular machine, because of all the darker colors, the purples, the reds, I decided to go with LEDs on it, and I'm glad I did, because it really makes the playfield pop, and because somebody did use that spray paint to kind of touch it up in the back, it kind of blocks the light a little bit. And now that there's LEDs in there, like you can even see these are LED flashers, not incandescent, but they flash like an incandescent. They're not blinding, and it actually ironically worked out pretty perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this down here, and I'm going to go ahead and take the back glass off, and then I'll kind of show you what's inside here. Now this is where this machine really shines, and this is where I'm going to say it's more of an excellent condition machine than a good or a very good. And pinball people, I usually make these videos not so much for pinball people because they already know a lot of this stuff. This is for people that are maybe interested in getting a pinball machine and don't know much about them. But you're going to notice a couple of things right away if you are a pinball person. I'll kind of save it here in a second. But first off, the soundboard has all been rebuilt. It has brand new capacitors in it. It's been cleaned, and I did check to make sure that the fuses are proper. I also went ahead and put new connectors on the male side for each one of the connectors up there. That's kind of an Achilles heel of these systems. The old male pins will get corroded or they'll get cold solder cracks, and then you're going to have issues with your, well, in this case, with your sound. I shouldn't say sound like it has background sound. It's sound effects. So this game will have sound effects as you play it. It doesn't have like a theme song in the background. It just wasn't that type of machine, that generation. This is your power supply here. You have your high power over here and your 5-volt over here. All the capacitors, this whole power supply has been rebuilt and tested. Everything is solid, 5 volts, and your high power is accurate. All of the fuses, and this goes for anybody who has a new pinball machine who maybe is just getting into this, don't assume that your fuses are the right size fuses. In fact, this one had one that was off by a substantial amount. It was the flipper fuse over here, and that particular fuse, I think they had double the amperage in it than what it's rated, what it should be rated for. So I went ahead and I made sure that those were all the right fuses. Going down here, you'll see these two little circuit boards right here. And what those are is those are two bridge rectifiers. One controls your solenoids and the other controls your GI, which is your lighting. From the factory, these aren't fused. And they're not fused from, we call them Williams System 3s, all the way through some of the Williams System 11s. And that is actually a potential fire issue. So if you have one of these machines and you haven't put a fuse system in here, I strongly encourage you to do that, because without the fuse in there, if something locks in on your play field, your wire itself becomes the fuse. And somewhere along the path of the wire, it's going to melt. And well, it could melt in a safe place, or it could melt in a place that's highly combustible, if you know what I mean. So this is a modification that must be done. I choose to go with these little bridge rectifier boards because they come with the fuse, they come with a new bridge rectifier, and they're really not that expensive. I think the last batch I bought, they were about $12 a piece. And so everything's been upgraded and modernized there, and they're just easy. They're kind of plug and play. Moving on, I never really replaced this big old capacitor here. I've never actually seen one fail. So that's one of the only capacitors I always leave in these machines. Those fuses over there for the lights, they're all good as well. Now moving on over here to this System Alpha board. This particular board, I can't say enough great things about it. So one of the Achilles of this series, this is a Williams Series 6 machine. And Williams Series 3 through System 7 used kind of a two-board concept. In fact, I got them over here. I'm going to grab them real quick. Now, I'm not going to throw these boards out. I actually have these running because I got this board probably about 8 months ago, and I've had it in this machine, playing with it for about 6 months. I can't say enough great things about it. Before that, I did have this particular board set in here. So this is your MPU side, and this is your driver board. And if you notice, you got this giant 40-pin interconnect board here, this connector here, and it mates up to this one right here. And so they kind of sit like that in the box. And what happens is, and even with mine, what happened was even though I replaced all the male connectors, the 40-pin interconnect, and I replaced the couple of capacitors that are on there, I was still getting some issues. Things like the GI lights would work one day and one day they wouldn't, and then I'd reseat it, and maybe it would work and maybe it wouldn't. And a lot of it just has to do with those particular boards and the way they're designed. It doesn't mean you can't make them bulletproof, but I'm just a hobbyist, and you know, that's more of a pro level skill to get those to work 100%. Even those guys will say those are a pain in the butt. So coming back to the System Alpha board, this gentleman, he goes by the name of Tilt. He's on Pinside. He sells these things for about $140 shipped, which is a tremendous value. But it takes those two giant boards and it shrinks everything down to this one board set here. But more importantly, this board set has beefier components. And what that means is it's a lot more difficult for anything here to get fried out if something locks on. So typically what'll happen with these old boards is if something locks on and you don't catch it right away and the 2.5 amp fuse for the solenoid doesn't blow, the transistor is going to blow instead if you're lucky, or something else upstream of that on your MPU. So not to nerd out with you too quick, but basically what this does is it helps prevent this with something called a one-shot. And essentially it monitors the solenoids and allows those solenoids, if they are locked on or if a switch is locked on, it knows that, it understands it, and it does everything it can to keep that over voltage from destroying the board. So it does have one-shot capability in it, which a lot of new boards do have. All your modern pinball machines have that same technology. On top of that, these old machines used to run anywhere from 1.5 to 2 amps when they were running. And if you remember your old science class, if energy wasn't used, in this case, if it wasn't used in operating the pinball machine, then it was expensed in heat, because you can't destroy energy, you can just convert it. And that's where you'd get issues with, heat damaging back glasses or heat damaging boards. In fact, sometimes those boards on the driver's side where it used to have big resistors, they get so hot there that you could basically fry an egg, but it would just get charred black and they just get abused by the heat. This particular board goes from that 1.5 to 2 amp operating down to 0.1 amperage. That's right, this whole machine now is running on average of about 0.1 amps. So you can see how that affects everything from the reliability of the machine to the heat that it gives off to even your electrical bill. It also allows you to put a few extra machines on the same circuit breaker in your house if that's something you're interested in. So even if you don't end up taking this machine that we refurbished here, if you do have one of these Williams 3 through 7 games and you're struggling with those old boards and you're having some bugs with it, like I said, this gentleman's on Pinside. I can't recommend this board enough. I've used it for about 6 months in this machine. I have had no issues with it. And it was really easy to install. And it was, for all practical purposes, it was almost plug and play. You do have to flash the ROM in it to get the right game. But after you're done with that, I mean, it's just been rock solid. Just a wonderful board. So we'll go ahead and we'll button this back up now and we'll play a little bit. I have a couple of other wide bodies, and some of them tend to play a little bit floaty. And as far as this one goes, it's not near as floaty as a lot of wide bodies that I played. In fact, if you really look at the layout, it really is that kind of traditional pinball layout of the 70s. I kind of call it like a figure eight. It's not a true figure eight, but like a half figure eight. Like you got your spinner over here, your spinner over here. So you got like that 8 on the out lanes here, and then you got your standard out lanes coming here. You got your standard 3 pop bumpers, and then you got 2 kickouts here. You have star rollovers here. You got a kicker here, and then let me see. Oh, and then drop target. So really, this game was pretty loaded when it came out. Now, I'm going to tell you the rule set as I know them and as how I've been playing the game. Caveat: I'm not a pro. I'm actually kind of a pretty average pinball player. So I'm going to tell you this with a trust but verify. So I'm going to probably get you about 90% accurate, and I'm probably going to be a little inaccurate with some of the rule set because there's a lot of stuff going on with this thing. But essentially what I've learned by playing this game is, it's your typical bonus ladder. Like this 1 through 10, it'll keep accumulating every time you hit any rollover that says advance on it. Or, even when you come down here, I think it also advances those as well. And the other thing this is, and if you notice, kind of like a bowling ball layout, because I think at one point this was supposed to be a bowling game, but they went with this crazy 70s super retro vibe instead, which I actually think kind of looks pretty cool. But when you light all these up, then it advances your AE, and each one of those is 10,000 points. Now, what does AE mean? I have no idea. I even looked in the manual because you can get the manual online. I don't know what AE means. I just know that as you light these up on the pyramid, you get an additional 10,000 points. Now, up here, as you hit this target right here, it will advance your X multiplier, your 2X, your 3X, and your 5X, which obviously helps because everything gets multiplied then on your bonus ladder. Along with that, if you hit these laser, this is laser, L-A-S-E-R, and then ball here, but you really got to knock down laser. If you knock down laser, you'll start with 5,000 points, but then you'll get 10,000, then 15,000, then at 20,000, I believe, the 1,000 per spinner lights. And that's what I really try to do because I like ripping spinners for extra points. And your extra ball will light, so when you hit this out hole kicker right here, you'll get awarded an extra ball. And now one more thing. These 1 through 10s up here on these lanes right here, if you go down like lane 1 here, you'll actually get awarded number 1 and number 2 down here on your rollovers right here is fulfilling, trying to light all those up. Whereas down here, you got to roll over each individual one to get that particular number. And other than that, I think that's pretty much the game in a nutshell. So we're going to go ahead and fire it up and play it. I currently have it set to free play. Now you can change that in the settings to take credits. And someone at one point put a credit button on here as well. I don't know why they put credit buttons on these series of machines because you can set them to free play with the software. So not sure, but it's not the first time I've seen it. So there you can see both lit up. Oh, well, that's par for the course when I'm recording. So as you can see, it plays pretty fast for a wide body. I mean, it's not as fast, and there you can see I got my multiplier. We'll see if we can get all these lit up. We got 5, 7, 9, and 10. Oh. Nope, that was a bad flip. Go! All right, let's play one more round. I think I can do better than that. There we go. Let me get those 5 and 6. Everything but. So you can see it, bonus countdown, and then go to your next ball. Oh, there we go. Now you see it flash like that. I always think that's kind of cool. And then I get awarded one more of those A's. Oh, fastball. All right, last ball. Ooh. Well, there you go. Once again, that is a 1979 Williams laser ball, and this one is completely refreshed. One more thing to kind of say about a Williams laser ball, or some of the machines in this kind of, not so much this generation, but this style. There's very few machines now that are solid state that you can get for well under that 2,000 price point where they've been refreshed. Laser Ball is one of them. It is a great game for how much you pay for it. It really puts a smile on your face. And as I always sometimes kind of joke, because I have some higher end machines, because I'm kind of a pinball guy, it really gives you a lot for your money. It puts a smile on your face per dollar. And so I think it's a fun game. It's a great game, and it for the value. You know, I'm not going to compare it to Jaws or anything like that. It's not quite at that level. But bottom line up front is it's a fun game, and I appreciate you watching my video.